I used to tell myself there just wasn't enough time, that life kept moving too fast for me to ever catch up. My name is Alfred. I'm 85 years old, and it took me most of my life to realize that time was never really the problem. For as long as I can remember, I felt like I was running just a little behind everyone else. Not in a dramatic way, nothing anyone would notice, but inside me there was always this quiet pressure, like I was late to something important I couldn't quite name. When I was young, I thought it was because I hadn't figured out my path yet. When I got older, I blamed responsibilities, work, family, obligations. There was always something that seemed to take my time before I could use it the way I wanted. In my 20s, I had plans, or at least I thought I did. I wanted to travel, to learn more, to become someone I could be proud of. But then a job came along. Not a bad one, just stable enough to make me stay. I told myself I would save money first, then go out into the world later. Later felt responsible. Later felt safe. Years passed in a way that didn't feel like passing at the time. They just stacked quietly on top of each other. I woke up early, worked long days, came home tired, and told myself I'd think about my dreams when things settled down. But things never really settled. There was always another bill, another expectation, another reason to wait. I met a woman in my early 30s. She was kind, patient, the kind of person who made life feel steady. We got married, and for a while, I believed that maybe this was the life I had been trying to reach all along, and in many ways it was a good life. We had children, we built a home, we shared quiet evenings that felt warm and familiar. But even then there was a small voice in me that I kept pushing aside. It didn't shout, it didn't demand anything, it just asked simple questions at inconvenient times. Is this what you really wanted? Are you going to try the other things you once dreamed about? And every time, I answered the same way. Not now. There isn't enough time for that right now. I became very good at that answer. It followed me through my 40s and 50s. Whenever something stirred inside me, whether it was a desire to change direction, to learn something new, or even to have a difficult conversation I had been avoiding, I told myself I would get to it later. Life felt full, busy, and I convinced myself that being busy meant I was doing what I was supposed to do. But being busy is a strange thing. It can make you feel productive while quietly keeping you from the things that matter most. I didn't notice it happening. Or maybe I did and I just didn't want to admit it. There were moments when time seemed to slow down just enough for me to see things clearly. I remember once, sitting alone late at night after everyone had gone to sleep. The house was quiet, and for the first time in a long while, there was nothing demanding my attention. I thought about all the things I had put off, all the conversations I hadn't had, all the chances I had let pass, because I believed I would have more time later. That night, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. Not regret exactly, but a kind of unease, like I was standing at the edge of something I didn't fully understand. And instead of sitting with that feeling, I did what I always did. I told myself I was tired, that it was too late to think about these things, and that tomorrow would be a better time. Tomorrow became my favorite excuse. It sounded hopeful, but it was really just a way of avoiding the present. As I grew older, time began to change in ways I couldn't ignore. It moved faster, or at least it felt that way. Weeks turned into months, months into years, and suddenly I found myself in my 70s. looking back more often than I looked ahead. By then, many of the things I once thought I didn't have time for had quietly disappeared. Opportunities faded. People moved on. Some were no longer there at all. I started to understand that time doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just keeps going, whether you're paying attention or not. The realization didn't come all at once. It came in small, uncomfortable pieces. A missed chance here, an unfinished thought there, a conversation I could no longer have with someone who was gone. Each piece on its own didn't seem like much, but together they formed something I could no longer ignore. And then, not long after I turned 85, I had a moment that changed the way I see everything. I was sitting by the window in my living room, watching the light shift across the floor as the day slowly moved toward evening. It was quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't ask anything from you. And for once, I didn't try to fill it. I started thinking about all the times I had said there wasn't enough time, not just for big things, but for small ones too. Calling a friend, saying something honest, trying something new, even allowing myself to rest without feeling guilty. And it struck me, in a way that felt both simple and heavy at the same time, that time had always been there. What I didn't have was the willingness to face certain things when I should have. I wasn't lacking time. I was avoiding choices. That's a difficult thing to admit, even now. It's easier to blame time because it feels out of our control. If there isn't enough time, then it's not our fault. We did what we could. We were busy. We had responsibilities. But the truth, at least for me, is that there were many moments when I did have the time and I chose not to use it. I chose comfort over uncertainty. I chose routine over change. I chose silence over honesty. I don't say this with bitterness. It's not about judging the life I lived. There were good years, meaningful relationships, moments I wouldn't trade for anything. But there's also a quiet understanding now, one that came too late to change much, but not too late to see clearly. Time was never standing in my way. Fear was, habit was, the idea that I needed to wait for the right moment, when in reality the right moment rarely announces itself. If I could go back, I don't think I would try to do everything differently. Life isn't meant to be perfect. But I would pay more attention to those small inner questions, the ones I kept pushing aside. I would stop waiting for life to slow down before I decided to live it more honestly, because it never really slows down. It just changes, and if you're not careful, you change with it without ever asking yourself if that's what you wanted. Now at this age, I don't feel rushed anymore, not because I suddenly have more time, but because I finally understand what time is and what it isn't. It's not something you wait for. It's something you meet, moment by moment, whether you're ready or not. And if there's one thing I would say to you, whoever you are, listening to this, it's this. Be careful what you keep postponing. Not everything waits patiently. Some things quietly leave your life while you're busy telling yourself you'll get to them later. I spent many years believing I was running out of time, when in truth, I was just running away from certain parts of my own life. And it took me 85 years to finally sit still long enough to see that clearly.